Welcome to DRM News Global. We have to start today with some incredibly difficult news. The British boxer, Georgia O'Connor, has passed away at just 25 years old. Just heartbreaking.
It really is profoundly sad news. And today we're going to do a deep dive into the source material that's come out. Articles, reports, social media posts from promoters, governing bodies, friends, and importantly, from Georgia herself.
Yeah, the aim here is really to understand her story as it's been told through these different accounts.
Exactly.
We've gathered these pieces with the mission to sort of pull out the key insights, understand her life, her achievements in boxing, which were significant, but also the health battles she faced and, well, the circumstances around her death, based on what these sources say.
And what emerges from these sources is a picture of this hugely talented athlete. Her life was just tragically cut short, and her passing came after this battle with a rare and aggressive cancer diagnosis.
A diagnosis that arrived after years of other really significant health challenges and a deeply personal tragedy, too, which the sources mention. Okay, so let's maybe start with her career. Based on what the sources tell us, they really highlight a promising start, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. You see things like the gold medal at the 2017 Commonwealth Youth Games, medals at the Youth World Championships, real achievements early on.
And then she turned professional in 2021. Undefeated, right? Went 3-0 pretty quickly.
Yes, her last pro fight was October 2022. And the tributes, the ones coming from the boxing world, they really paint a picture of the kind of competitor she was.
What are they saying?
Well, you read messages from Ebok XXRR from England Boxing. They consistently use words like warrior, a warrior inside and outside the ring. They call her hugely talented, courageous, an inspiration, a role model. It's clear she made a big impact, more than just the wins and losses.
Yeah, that comes through strongly. But what's also incredibly clear from these reports, these sources, are the immense health struggles she was dealing with for years, long before the cancer diagnosis.
Right. The articles specifically mention her battle with ulcerative colitis and also primary sclerosing cholangitis, or PSC.
And this is a really key insight from the sources, isn't it? They explain that these weren't just, separate issues.
No, not at all. They specifically point out that these conditions significantly increased her risk of developing cancer later on.
And Georgia herself, she shared some really stark details about living with the colitis.
She did. She described needing to use the toilet 15 to 20 times a day. Can you imagine?
Just awful.
And suffering unbearable bowel cramps. And then you have the PSC, this chronic liver disease, alongside the colitis. It created this much higher risk profile that the sources really emphasize.
And then reading her own posts, which are so poignant, this difficult health situation was compounded by something incredibly personal just before the cancer diagnosis.
Yes, the sources mentioned she suffered a miscarriage. Just devastating.
It really is. And this leads into what the sources share about her perspective on the timeline of the cancer diagnosis itself.
She wrote about being in constant pain from about October onwards. The actual diagnosis came in January.
But what's really striking, reading her words reported in these sources, is her conviction. She said she knew it was cancer from the start.
Yeah, she believed it was cancer precisely because she was so aware of the risks from her other conditions. She knew her body.
And her quotes about her experience trying to get diagnosed, shared across these different reports, they're incredibly powerful and frankly, quite distressing to read.
They really are. She stated, and this is her quote, that not one Dr. Fing listened to her, that they didn't take her seriously.
She said she begged for, whilst crying on the floor in agony, for scans or blood tests, but was refused.
Yeah. And she used the term gaslit. She felt dismissed, like her symptoms were being downplayed or ignored.
For listeners, when Georgia used gaslit, as reported here, she meant feeling like she was being made to doubt her own experience, her own pain, like it was, as one doctor allegedly told her, all in her head.
Exactly. And her account, as presented in these sources, is that this perceived delay in diagnosis allowed the cancer to spread. It apparently even led to blood clots forming in her lungs.
Just terrible. And the diagnosis, when it finally came,
described as rare and aggressive. And the doctors, according to the reports of her words, called it incurable.
Wow. So she's facing years of chronic illness, the terrible loss of the miscarriage, this difficult diagnosis experience, the pain, feeling dismissed.
Yeah.
Yet the sources also consistently highlight something else, don't they?
They do. Her resilience, her positivity, it's remarkable.
Even after the miscarriage, after the cancer diagnosis, she shared posts saying she felt on top of the world.
It's incredible, isn't it? This capacity for resilience seems to be a central theme in the sources and all the tributes that have come out.
And there was one more really poignant life event right near the end that the sources mentioned.
Yes, very moving. Just before she passed away, on May 9th, she married her partner, Adriano Cardinale. She changed her last name. A moment of love amidst everything.
And the tributes you mentioned earlier, the volume and the depth of feeling from the boxing community really underline the impact she had.
Oh, definitely. Messages from BXXRR, England Boxing, the promoter Ben Shalom, her close friend Ellie Scottney, who's also a boxer.
What kind of things were they saying? What words did they use?
Warrior, obviously. Talented, courageous, determined. But also things like loved, respected, admired, inspirational. Ellie Scottney's words were particularly moving.
What did she say?
She described Georgia as the most beautiful human, a pure soul, a friend who became like a sister for life. She said Georgia showed everyone how special life is and mostly how to live by every second. Really powerful words.
So when you pull all this together from the source material, her boxing talent, those years battling really serious health issues, the personal tragedy, her fight, her reported fight to get her symptoms taken seriously, and then that final period marked by love. It's just a profound story.
It really is. A life cut tragically short, but clearly lived with incredible spirit and determination, according to these accounts.
And Georgia's story, as it's told in these sources, it really does seem to highlight some critical things, doesn't it? Like listening to your own body.
Absolutely. Trusting your instincts when something feels wrong, and the absolute necessity sometimes of advocating fiercely for your own health within the system.
Yeah.
And it also just powerfully illustrates the impact one person's spirit, their determination can have on everyone around them, even when they're facing, immense suffering themselves.
So thinking about everything shared in these sources, how does Georgia O'Connor's experience, as reported here, maybe prompt us, and you listening, to think differently? Perhaps about patient advocacy, about how crucial it is.
Or maybe about resilience. The strength of the human spirit when it's faced with challenges that just seem insurmountable. According to these accounts we've looked at today, she embodied that.
It certainly leaves us, and hopefully you, with a lot to reflect on.